Hello and welcome to Personal Branding and LinkedIn Lunch Club. I'm super excited to be here. Sorry we were a couple of minutes late joining. We did have some technical difficulties just with streaming, but hopefully you can see us now live. Please do let us know if you can see us live also in the comments. That would be super helpful and that we're coming through clearly. And that would be great, really help us with getting going with the show. I've got an amazing guest with me today, Ahsan Iqbal. Welcome. Lovely to have you here.
Great to be on the show. So looking forward to it.
I wanted to get you on for quite a while because a few reasons really. One, because of your vast recruitment experience, you'll be able to help a lot of people who are looking for a new job. But equally, I love your story of how you've worked for big organizations, but then you set up as a founder and director on your own. I know you're doing amazingly well and you've built your own personal brand. You leverage LinkedIn and networking a lot to do that. So I love how you embody everything that I try and teach my clients. So I really wanted to get you on to share with people a bit about you, but equally some important job tips and job searching tips, because I know a lot of people right now maybe being let go or they're trying to find a new job, but they're just getting a bit stuck with how to go about it. Maybe they've not done it for a while, the process has all changed, and how they can really leverage LinkedIn, building their personal brands, but reaching out to recruiters to get a new role. So that being said, can you just introduce yourself for those who don't know you? Not a lot of people do know you, but those who don't, are you able just to let everyone know a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, good to meet everyone. So my name's Ahsan. I'm a director of a company called Infuse Solutions. I've been in the technology recruitment industry for over 18 years now. And I'll tell you a bit about Infuse Solutions. So we are a recruitment business that specialises in the technology sector, predominantly in the UK, and we cover a number of different verticals, which include software development, data analytics, senior appointments, ERP, CRM, and infrastructure. So we normally work with clients across a variety of industry sectors, helping organisations find contract and permanent staff. We also help with retained searches as well, and we also do a lot in the tech meetup space and tech events as well. And we also are there to help candidates in an ever-changing market secure their perfect role. So
yeah, that's great. I think that's one of the things that stood out to me about you since we first met. It's a couple of years ago now, it's gone very quick, but how you are always running events, you're always running networking and meetups to help candidates and to help the industry, because that's really, really important. And I used to always get a lot of feedback. For those who don't know, I'm ex-recruitment, but I used to get a lot of feedback from candidates being like, I need help, but as a candidate, not just when I'm a client, I actually need some help to get a role. And, that's really important to place good people and to help candidates get into the best positions. We need to be meeting up with them and training them and helping them to network as well. So I think it's really powerful what you're doing. You've got one coming up, haven't you, in Manchester?
Yeah, so we've got a data meetup next Thursday. Starts around about 5:00. So if anyone is in the local area, feel free to come along. But I think it's very important that we as an organisation are doing this as well, that clients are also looking at this and also candidates attend, because I think now with COVID, we had a lot of remote events and virtual meetups, but we have seen a massive uptake now in terms of physical events as well. So I think it's really good, and we're seeing, especially in a lot of cities now, a lot of regular tech meetups. So
that's really good, and I think it's really powerful to meet in person. Although it's great doing the work that we do virtually, it just helps so much, doesn't it, once you've met someone in person, to really get a good understanding of them. Thanks, Harvey, for putting the link in there. So I'll show it on here. But if you do see it in the comments, then do click onto that. We do get a lot of people that watch on replay. So if you are watching on replay, but later on today, then do let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and just let me know that you can see that link okay as well. So when it comes to building a personal brand, it's something that I like to ask all my guests that come on, because it's something that I specialize in and I'm believe very much in, and because it works, and I can see that through what you do within your own business, it's working for you. But why, as a candidate, is it important to build a personal brand, would you say?
I think, especially in the current climate and how the importance of social media now has come very prominent, I think it's important now when candidates are job seeking that they have an up-to-date profile, they have a personal brand, because a lot of clients and hiring managers not only now look at the profile, they will go on LinkedIn and see an individual's profile, and they will also see how active they are, especially in certain tech markets. So I think it is very important to have a strong personal brand, something that's up to date, and it can really benefit you. I mean, we'll discuss a bit later how it can help you in your job search as well.
Yeah, so it's a really good point, and I think candidates maybe used to think just having a CV is enough, but actually people do go and check you out in other places, because people will always go and check your LinkedIn within the tech space, and within the leadership space. They're going to go and check your LinkedIn, see if you're active, see if you've built up a presence, to build up a network, what you're all about behind the CV, and if you actually have gone out of your way to do that. It does really help recruiters get a better feel for you, doesn't it? It helps build that image of you that's not just a CV. It helps create that more well-rounded view.
Yeah, and I think what I would just add on that as well, there's a lot of internal recruitment teams, their first port of call is LinkedIn, as opposed to searching job boards. So if you've got an up-to-date brand on LinkedIn, it will massively help you get your perfect job. So
such a good point that is. Internal teams use LinkedIn as their primary tool, because a lot of them don't invest in lots of different things. So they use LinkedIn, and you need to position yourself to get found. So treat your CV, your LinkedIn, almost like with your CV, but better, make it even more like personality, add a bit about you, but make sure you've got all your experience, your keywords, and start sharing content, and you'll get found a lot easier, because LinkedIn will push your profile out to people more, because they'll see you're using the platform in the right way.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a great point. So when it comes to a CV, you mentioned that a couple of times then, what tips would you have for someone now? Because it's changed, hasn't it, over the years, what people perceive a good CV, or people always say, how many pages should it be, or what should I put on there? What tips do you have for a good CV now?
I'd say for a good CV, and I'll link it to updating your LinkedIn profile as well. So I think with the CV, make sure it sounds fairly simple, but make sure it's up to date as well, because you'll get a lot of CVs that aren't up to date. Make sure that you've got your key skills and the key projects that you've worked on the CV. Make sure that it's not too long as well, and it's relevant to the jobs that you're applying for, because it may be now, with a lot of technology and AI data used within organizations, they may use keyword searches. So if the job title or the skills are not on the CV, you might not get shortlisted for it as well. And then with your LinkedIn profile, again, make sure you've got a profile picture, a background. I would make sure that you've got your key skills on there, a bit of a summary. Make sure your employment is up to date as well on there. And also have what you like. You can get involved in user groups as well. Put any education on there as well. If the profile is up to date and relevant, then I think it will help in the search, because you will come up on the searches as well. So just ensuring you have the relevant technologies on there, it will help for clients and organizations to find you on searches as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So make sure it's up to date. Make sure that you're going to be able to get found for the roles you're looking for and the experience you've got. I think one of the key things, and you've kind of said it there, is don't just expect people to know what you do. You have to put it in your CV or your LinkedIn to get found, because recruiters, in-house, teams, they find you from keyword searches. So if you haven't got the keywords for that role on your profile or on your LinkedIn, you're not going to find you. So that's really good tips. And then with your LinkedIn, have a clear picture, a cover banner, and add skills, add some things in your about section, and get some recommendations would be a really good idea. And one thing I want to just, I suppose, ask a little more about, you said don't have it too long.
Yeah.
What would from your experience, and again, I think people have a personal preference on what they like to see in the CV, but how long would do you prefer to see a CV, like how many pages?
I think it needs to be about 2 to 3 pages. That's what the ideal is. I mean, 1 page is too short. It just won't have enough detail on there.
Yeah.
I think you can get away in certain industries or certain with 2 pages, but normally 3, 4 is fine as well. But we just don't. If it's too long, it just probably won't be read as well. So I think a lot of people will normally look about 20 seconds over the CV and look at it very quickly. So you just want to make sure that the key things are on there and it's not too long, because I think the person reviewing the CV might get a bit disengaged as well. So I think 2 to 3 pages is a good length for the CV to have.
Yeah, I totally get that and understand that fully. And remember, people like recruiters haven't got that much time, and in-house companies don't, because some applications might get like 400, 500 applications for a role. The time is of the essence, and that client needs their shortlist. And I think sometimes recruiters can get a bit of a bad name of, oh, they didn't get back to me, but need to understand like the process that recruiters go through. They've got to make it quick and get that client that shortlist whilst trying to do a good job with the candidates and giving you feedback, because that is important, because it's never nice not to get feedback, but there isn't much time is there to quickly review a CV. Does it match what we're looking for? If not, we need to move on to the next one. So make it 2-3 pages, and your first page, you want to make it count, because it's what realistically you're going to be looking at, aren't you, to see if it's the right fit or not. And then if it is, you might look a little bit further in. So that's really good tips. So if you are writing your CV, but maybe just having it at 1 page, don't, because you can't possibly have all your experience on there. But 2 to 3 is a good amount. And what about cover letters? What's your advice around cover letters now?
So with cover letters, I think it's really dependent on maybe the type of role and the stage in your career that you're at. So if you've got a lot of experience, I think the CV will be sufficient, because you'll have a lot of experience of projects. So maybe if you're a graduate or you're the early stages, sometimes a cover letter does help as well. Also, if you are looking for a career change or you go into a slightly different area, I recommend putting a cover letter in as well. And then even with some senior roles as well, a cover letter might help as well. But I don't think it's entirely necessary, but it can still help in certain situations or certain types of roles. So we do see it quite common with graduates or people in the early stages of their career, because maybe they don't have as much experience on the CV, but they may be looking at some of the softer skills. So I think I would recommend that as well. And just going back to the CV as well, what I also recommend is speaking to recruiters, because they can help in terms of feedback on the CV, how it looks, and get advice, because I think that's important as well, especially if it's been a long period before you updated your CV and you haven't looked. I think, always getting a second opinion works as well. So with cover letters, we do still see it, but it's not as common. And I think it really depends on the situation.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So remember, like, leverage the recruiter. The recruiter wants you to do well. They're like on your side, because let's face it, recruiters will benefit from you landing the role, so they want to help you. So ask recruiters, say, what do you think? Be honest. Does it look good? Could it change anything? What's the market currently doing with CVs at the moment? Patrick, so let's have a look at what Patrick's saying. Interesting views on the cover letter. I use them to highlight how I match up with the required skills, but also to bring some of my personality to the engagement. And Patrick, I know you are very experienced with what you do. You're amazing at what you do. So it's great that you are getting a lot of that out within your cover letter. I know from speaking with other recruiters and previously myself that CV is definitely the most important on your LinkedIn. But if you did want to add a cover letter, if you really wanted to add that to your application, you can, but don't hold up on applying. If you really want to apply for the role, make sure that your CV, I suppose, is aligned with what the role is. But then if you wanted to add a cover letter, so I use them to highlight how I match it with the required skills, but also brings well, that's great, Patrick, that you do that. And I'd say just ensure that is aligned with your CV as well. So that's a great point.
Yeah, so, and we just going back to that. I mean, I know Patrick mentioned about the required skills. Sometimes there's certain roles that require a certain project. So we do get cover letters, and I think that works really well in that situation.
Yeah, and it shows, I suppose, that you've gone the extra mile to do it. But one thing I used to see, I'm not sure if you see it, is like someone hasn't aligned their CV, but then they spent loads of time on a cover letter. But you almost look at CV first, don't you, before you're even going to bother with the cover letter. So make sure your CV is good, because that's the thing that they're going to match you up against. And then the cover letter is a nice supporting document. So that's a great point there. So when it comes, let's say someone has been let go from their job, like, you know, they're on the market now, what would you say someone should do? What's the steps that they should do to find a new role?
I think the first thing that they need to do is update their CV and also update their LinkedIn profile as well. You know, you may be dependent on how advanced or how much you've been using it. I think you've got to get the basics right on LinkedIn to make sure the profile's up to date, and you can start utilising the searches and applying to jobs via that mechanism as well. Also, reach out to a recruiter, a recruitment agency, and they can advise on the CV. They can help with the search as well. Where what I would probably suggest as well is, instead of just a call, maybe arrange a meeting, you know, at Teams or a video call as well, where you can go in depth in terms of the type of role that you're looking for, you know, what you're looking for in terms of like location, salary, quite a lot of other detail, and then also start utilizing your network and LinkedIn, start engaging within LinkedIn, because as a job seeker, because there's so many different channels now, including social media, you don't know how you're going to find your next role. And it could be from a colleague who you work with who's moved to a new company. It could be someone approaches you on LinkedIn. So simple thing is just on your profile, make sure you're open to work as well. And then look at, my advice is always with agencies, work with a couple of agencies as well, and have regular catch-ups as well. And you can also put a bit of a plan in place in terms of, because if you're going out to market and you're interviewing quite a lot, which, you know, the market can be like that in certain skill sets where you've got a lot of interviews, you can get lost in terms of your application. So make sure you've got a bit of a plan together in terms of where your CV's gone and how you're following up as well.
Yeah, that's some really good tips then. So update your CV and your LinkedIn as the primary action, because they're going to be what you need to use to get yourself out there essentially, and you want it to be positioned in the best way to get found, but also convert people to be interested once they find you. And don't worry about letting people know in your network that you're now open. Like, do a post, say, just to let you know, in my network, I'm now open for a new role. I appreciate any help, or appreciate your support. This is what I'm looking for. It's okay to let everyone know they're in your network. People want to support people who are open to new roles, and you'll be surprised. You'll probably find a lot of opportunities just doing that. And then the other thing is putting open to work on your profile as well. That's a really good tip. And do let us know in the comments if you have got any questions when it comes to recruitment. You can put them in as well if you're watching on replay, and I'll check them out a bit later as well, and we'll get back to you on that. So that's cool. But yeah, that's really good tips. So have a plan in place, reach out to a few agencies, because again, that's something else that I think used to be a myth, like just go to one agency. But the fact is, different agencies will have different roles. It's how it works, you know. And it's okay to, like, you've got a recruitment business and you're telling people reach out to different agencies, because that's the best thing for you to do, because one of the agencies will have a good role for you. But then if you can work with a few recruiters, they'll help you along the way. So on that, it might sound like a very simple question for you, but how would you suggest someone could find like agencies to reach out to? Like, how could someone find the right ones to reach out to?
I think it might be dependent on the type of role that you're looking for, because different ones specialize in different areas. So simple thing is, obviously you can use the Google search engine, look at what the job boards that's specific, who's advertising those jobs, do a LinkedIn search as well. And if a company or an organization is advertising, you know, multiple roles that in the skill set that you're looking for, maybe reach out to that agency, look at getting a referral. That's always good. So we get a lot of referrals coming through. So maybe speak to colleagues and just see who they've used in the past. what sort of experience, and that's always the best way as well. So we get a lot who we placed someone in the past and we'll get referrals through. So that's another way of doing it, and utilizing your network, LinkedIn as well. And I think just touching back on a previous point as well, just if your profile's up to date on LinkedIn, also if you start engaging on LinkedIn as well, whether it's technology specific, someone may find you in a search as well because you're engaging within a network. A recruiter might find you.
So true.
Yeah, and also I would also say as well, just the way social media platforms have changed. Also, be active on there, not just from a work point of view, but some people like personal posts as well, and just be yourself, and that can capture and it can help you get more engagement. Get your network out, and you don't know who's going to contact you about a role in the future.
Yeah, you've added some really great points there. So when it comes to finding good agencies, simple things like doing a Google search of job boards and what's currently being advertised at the moment. If someone is advertising for roles, an agency is advertising, most likely there's someone you should reach out to if it's the right type of roles, because even if it's not the right role for you, that particular one, they've probably got other roles or will have. So reach out to them, look at LinkedIn, who's advertising for roles that are similar to what you're looking for. Ask your previous colleagues or peers or friends in the industry. But the other good thing which you've really mentioned there, because a lot of people don't mention it, is the importance of engagement on LinkedIn, being active, commenting, go on to people in the industry, go on to agents like recruitment agencies, go on to industry influencers, go on to people within your network's posts that are posting regularly, and go and just start by commenting on those, because you do get noticed and you're almost tapping into their network then, like without having to do, have a big network yourself. If you've not got one, you can go and comment for free all day long, and you're going to get your name out there. So there's such power in engaging on LinkedIn and social media, and that platform will actually push your profile more because they want you to be engaging and that's what they like. So do go and do that if you're not already.
Yeah.
So I suppose what I want to ask you is around some of the mistakes that people are making. So I always find that with everything, whether it's business or recruitment, that you get some people who just absolutely smash it. They've always got a good role. They're always getting approached. They're always getting the top of the list for roles. And then you get the others that, if we're honest, are always struggling, or they're always like, not getting the roles or not getting interviews. Can you think at the top of your head, I know it's a bit of a random one to ask, but what mistakes that you see, maybe those people who are struggling a lot, like what are they doing maybe wrong that they could amend?
So I think one thing that we find quite common is individuals' profiles may not be up to date, whether that's on the CV or on LinkedIn as well, because that won't help you search. So if you're up to date, it'll massively help. Another thing that we do find as well is where the CV and LinkedIn doesn't match, because now so many organisations, even though they get the CV, they will be looking at LinkedIn, and we've had a lot of instances where they put one job on LinkedIn and another one on the CV, so it's quite conflicting, and I think confusing. So it can get a bit confusing as well. And I think also people aren't utilising their network or engaging as much, and what they don't realise is that, look, there's so many different avenues to getting a role now as well. So it could be going to a tech event, whether it's a virtual one or in person. The more that you engage your network, the greater the opportunity you find in a role as well. So I think it's using a variety of different channels to get your ideal role.
That's it. That's a really good point. So it's like leverage the different channels. Make sure that you're specific with your CV and LinkedIn's got a match. And don't just scattergun your CV to absolutely everyone, because that's not going to be helpful. But do engage. And around that, then, when it comes to engagement, how would you say recruiters or even your company and your team like to be engaged with? Like, how regular should someone reach out to you? That type of thing.
I think for us is regular, weekly contact with us. Obviously, we've got in process for a role as well. We like to be in contact daily. We'll either meet someone face to face, or we'll do a Teams or a video call as well. So I think it's just using a variety of channels. So we get a lot of approaches on LinkedIn. So I would say use LinkedIn to get in contact as well.
Yeah.
Also, if you can meet in person, jump on a video call as well. Still like email and arrange a conversation over the telephone as well. So I think there is a variety of different engagement channels that you can use, and it's just utilizing the one that best suits you. I think and your current circumstances, but definitely I think LinkedIn is a good one. So
That's perfect. Hi Nigel, hope you're okay and had a nice birthday yesterday. Hi Ali, thanks for raising this topic. Yeah, no problem, and thanks for joining us. So I've got a couple more questions, and it's going to be more around the employer side rather than the employee.
yes,
It's
yeah,
really important that it's a two-way thing, isn't it? And I think candidates are becoming a lot more savvy and realizing, hold on a minute, I've got such amazing skills, experience. I want to make sure that this company is for me. Like, it's not just a one-way thing. So how can, as an employer or a company, how can they position themselves in the best way to attract the top talent that's out there, especially within tech where talent is, there's a shortage of good talent?
Yeah, I think so. This is a thing that we help a lot of organisations with, and it's something that some organisations are doing well. Some are early stages in the journey on this. So one thing is making sure on LinkedIn your company page is up to date. Make sure that you've got relevant content on there, also regular updates as well, but also around employees and employee engagement as well. So stuff like spotlights or where a career in that organization in tech can take you as well. So I think that's important as well. Also having a strong social media presence as well. So that could just be on the website as well, having a quite clear or easy to navigate careers webpage as well. I think videos are always good as well, because it always gives what a career at that organization can look like, where you can go. I think that's important as well. A lot of organizations are doing in-person events as well. So whether it's open days or whether it's tech meetups or events, because that really helps with that in-person engagement. Also, you can be running virtual, events on social media as well. That helps. So I think it's just really having that presence, because candidates or potential people who are going to join can search and can find out more about, because they are going to be looking at the internet to research about the company, and the more positive things you've got about the organisation, the better as well, and where that career can go, whether it's, what a career can look like, what the offices look like as well, what the working arrangements are, because it is, the climate is changing as well. So we had a massive, we still, the market is still very busy, but that raises different challenges in the market now as well. So I think we're seeing, it's quite common knowledge, there's a lot of tech companies now that are laying people off, but there is a lot of organisations that are hiring now as well. So I think it's more than it's very important now that organisations are, really getting their presence out there and informing candidates. Yeah,
that's really some really good points there. So make sure that your company profile is up to date. But what about what you said there is have some, interviews, or give people an insider as to what who you guys are, a feel for your culture. But video, which is the best thing, I think that you just mentioned there, is like, video is the quickest way to form connection, but really to get your message out there, whether you're a candidate, a client, a personal brand on LinkedIn, whatever you may be, people can really get a good feel for you by sharing video. So if you're a company and employer looking to get the best talent, then do share video of like behind the scenes or interviews with your, your team. Let people know a little bit about what it is to like to work there, why they should join you. You have to position yourself as one of the best way to attract the top talent, because like you said, people search all day long now. They've got access to search, do their research, and I would suggest candidates do that. It has got to be right for you, because it's a big deal. You've got to feel right, you've got to fit in with the kind of company and like what they're all about. So LinkedIn user, I think your privacy settings are maybe set so I can't see your name. Apologies that I can't address you by your name. Are there specialist places for UK companies wanting to employ people in Europe? So are you if you can just let me know a little bit more about that in the comments, just so I understand what position you're coming from. So are you a candidate that's in Europe that's looking to get into a UK company? Is that where you're at? Just let me know a little bit more in the comments, so hopefully we can answer your question in the best way. And then we'll be able to guide you. But there is specialist agencies and companies for everything, really. So if you are looking to get a role in the UK, then there will be assistance to help you. And there's lots of different ways out there. I'm sure you would agree with that, and maybe not know exactly who right now, but there would be ones out there.
Yeah, I think just on that, we're obviously waiting for a bit more detail, but there's a lot of organisations who UK based who have got locations in Europe and are looking at different channels. So, I think more than common in the last couple of years now, what we've seen is a lot of companies will be looking not at the same role in different locations within the UK, but can be based within Europe as well.
Okay, that's a good point. So, maybe let us know, reach out. We'll see if we ever see your name when we come off the live and be able to engage with you after. But see what you're saying, I suppose, is companies are more open now as well, aren't they? I suppose with the whole remote working thing.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of European-based companies who are looking for people in the UK and vice versa as well. So, multiple locations for the same role, which wasn't as common, probably a couple of years ago. But I think that's a positive now as well. And I think with the advancements of remote working and technology that we've got, it's a lot easier as well. And I think a lot of companies are especially quite advanced in terms of employee engagement and how they can work, and even like training and upskilling people in multiple locations. So
that's a really great point. So what I probably suggest you do is reach out to some recruiters and just start to ask them, if they've got any clients that they're working with that do have that, option or that model, or that that you can do that type of work. If that's what you're looking to do, let us know in the comments, and I'll get back to you on that. But I'm not sure if you're looking to be in the UK physically, or if you're open to the remote stuff. So what would you say when it comes to, so we're talking about the employer, what they can do. What about like the interview process? How is that looking now? What's the market like doing at the moment when it comes to interview process?
It's quite varied currently. I mean, we've got a lot of organisations over the last sort of 2 years who've started doing one-stage interviews. It was a very quick process. I think that is now, there is still organisations moving quite quickly, but I think some organisations are having a bit of a push to get people back in the office as well. So now they're trying to meet individuals face to face as well. Not as much in terms of technical tests. So I think the processes in general with organisations is improving, and it's moving a lot quicker as well. So we've definitely seen that with organisations, but it really depends on the skill set and the type of role, and it varies from organisation to organisation as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So a lot of people are maybe pushing out to try and meet in person with some roles, maybe not all of them. And is it usually one or two throughout how many stage interviews?
I would say the average is probably two stages.
Yeah. Okay. It's good to know for candidates and for employers and what other people are doing. It's always good to get a bit of a feel. And I've just got a couple more questions before we finish up here. And like I said, if you do have any questions, put them in the comments now, or you can still put it on if you're watching on replay, and I'll get back to you, and I'm sure Ahsan can help with that as well. When it comes to interviews, then we touched on that a little bit there. Have you got any tips for candidates who are going for an interview, like how they can best prepare or how they can best come across? Because I used to get feedback a lot where, you probably get it all the time, where a candidate comes out of an interview, they think they did amazing, they're in there for ages, but actually the client didn't think the same, or the other way around, a candidate didn't think they did so well, but actually they did really well. So what tips have you got for someone to do well in their interview?
I think a lot of preparation is really important with the interview process. So it's just making sure before the interview that you've got the job spec, that's clear, you've had a review of that, you've also searched the company's information about the company, done your research, what the organisation does. Also, pre-interview, get the format, what the interview is going to entail, whether there's any preparation, whether there's going to be a technical test. So that is whether it's via an agency, just make sure the recruiter has fully briefed you on what the process is going to be. If it's with an internal team, just make sure you have that information beforehand. Also, the individuals in the interview, with majority of people now on LinkedIn, you can search the individual on LinkedIn just to see, who you're going to be speaking to and what their background is as well. So I think that gives a good idea as well. And it could be just a simple thing, which we always tell candidates: make sure you know your CV and what you've done, because the client, they will have either the CV in front of them or they will have reviewed, and they are going to be asking questions based on what you put on the CV as well. So just make sure that you cover all those different aspects, because the preparation part is really important as well. Normally, companies do tell you what the format's going to be and what they're looking for in terms of maybe their competencies or their core values. So just make sure you're fully prepared on it, really.
Yeah, that's some great tips. So preparation is key. You've got all the tools now to do as much research as you want. So find out who will be interviewing on LinkedIn, see what their background is, even for like that small talk at the start. So it's something to break the ice, shows you've done your research and care. So do that. Also use the recruiter or the in-house team that have got you for that interview. Ask them what type of interview it's going to be, what to prepare, what to expect, so that you're going into it, ready. And also have your own questions prepared, because they will most likely ask you. So if you've got any questions for us, and you definitely should. And the other thing that you just mentioned there is know your CV. You don't want to feel like a deer in the headlights when they ask you, so tell us about this part of your CV. Know it, because it's your experience. So thank you for that. So hi Spencer, hello from Toronto, Canada. Great to be able to tune in this morning. Lovely to have you here, and hope you are doing well. Hopefully this is helping you as well. If you do have any questions, let us know. Patrick, hello again. 2-stage would be interesting. I think that it's too short for me to fully make my mind up. However, I would ensure that I speak to other people in the organisation outside the full process. So that's an interesting one. I know, Patrick, you're senior in what you do as well, so maybe you'd have another conversation and chats as you're going. But yeah, I think the other thing that companies don't want to do is drag it on too long, that then lose the candidate, but then you don't want to be too short that the candidate doesn't feel like they're bought in fully yet either.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think, sometimes a third stage or an informal chat can help. And a lot of organisations are doing a first stage where it's just a brief 15 to 20 minute informal chat as well, which I think works quite well. And I think the other thing, just to be prepared for, because now a lot of interviews are conducted on Teams and video, different platforms, which can be a different challenge if you've not looked for a job for a long time as well. Certain organisations who are sending a video link and are getting you to answer a couple of questions on video first. So there is a lot of different methods out there. So it can be quite different. And if you haven't done that before, it can just making sure you're prepared. So it can be quite different. So
that's a really good point that you've raised there. And I'll ask one thing on that before I ask you the final 2 questions. With video interviews or interviews in general, it's a really good thing that you've mentioned that. What would you suggest? And I suppose you've probably got some answers, because maybe you get asked this or you advise people. What do people wear now? What would you recommend people wear? Because we're all so used to this virtual world, but then you don't want to go too chilled, but then too. So what would you suggest to wear?
I think you just need to get a bit of steer, maybe from the type of organisation, speak to the recruiter, speak to the internal recruiter, because we do give advice, because we get asked that question all the time. What do you wear in a video chat? So I think just if you need to be safe or you're unsure, I would just say, smart casual is probably better. But if the organisation is informal, it'll be informal as well. So I think you always just need to get a bit of a steer on it.
Basically just keep asking the recruiter. They're there to help you. So say, what they wear, what's the feel of the organ, and don't feel silly for asking any question, because these questions do get asked all the time, because we're all figuring out how to work in the way that we are now. So just ask the questions and don't ever feel silly for asking the recruiter, because they're probably been asked a lot more silly questions, which wouldn't be perceived as silly. So finally then, before I just get you to let people know how they can get in touch with you, if someone's looking for a role right now, they're now on the market, they need to get a role, they're looking for the next position and they want to land their dream job, what would you say top 3 tips that you've got that they can do like this week to get going with that, with finding a new job?
I would say update your profile, make sure that's up to date, make sure it's relevant.
Yeah.
I'd also make sure that you do your relevant searches on whether it's job boards, LinkedIn, as well. And then I would start networking. I think that is so important to just reach out to people, expand your network, start engaging with people and individuals, because I think now that's how you're really going to find or broaden the type of roles and the opportunities that you're going to get as well.
Yeah.
So I think they're the main 3 things that I'd say.
Well, yeah, and those are great tips. So it's update your profile, like, update your social media, and everyone know what you're up to. But use network and like engage with people. Don't be afraid to tell open for a new role, and put that out there and start engaging on LinkedIn in comments. But let people know, because if you don't let people know, how are they supposed to help you, or how do they know that you're available? So do those three tips. Network with recruiters, network with old bosses, old colleagues, and the network most likely will help you get your next position. If not, when you're applying, at least you're going to have a really good CV to be able to get you in the door, and a LinkedIn profile that adds that credibility as well. So that's really, really useful and some really great tips. So thanks so much for joining me today, sharing those. Hopefully that's helped if you are looking for a new role, or if you're looking to recruit into your company, just how to position yourself in the best way as a candidate and as an employer. And if people are looking to get a new job, a new role, or they're looking to hire right now, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I think the best way is to go onto our website and contact us on there, or just give us a call or contact us on LinkedIn. So there's a variety of channels, whatever's best for everyone, just to get in contact. And we're more than happy to help if it's searching for a role, if it's just advice, if it's something around networking and events. Just reach out. More than happy to help.
Yeah, that's really great. And you are tagged in this post as well, so people will be able to see you on LinkedIn and see your website and connect with you there as well. And just a reminder for anyone that missed the start of it, can you just let everyone know again about your Manchester event next week?
Yeah, so we've got a data meetup. I'll drop an email across as well. So that's happening next Thursday around 5:30. Feel free to come along. So it's on Meetup. So if you go on to Infused in the Community on Meetup, you can RSVP on the platform there.
Love that. And it's also in the comments, because one of your lovely team members have put that in for us. That's really helpful. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you again. And do let us know in the comments if that was helpful, and if you've got any other questions, we'll do our best to get back to you. And have a lovely Wednesday and rest of your week, everyone. And again, do reach out if you are stuck with anything, or if you've got any questions. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Caisha.
Thank you.
Bye.